guys, and welcome back to my channel. A little bit of a different view tonight. This is actually the chair that I was talking about on my last video that I never get because the dogs are usually in it. So I thought I would take advantage of it tonight and sit here and visit with you guys. So a couple of different things. Hopefully you guys are having a good week. I started my new job on Monday, as I told you guys I was going to. And so far, so good. I'm just trying to get acclimated with everything this week. But so far, it's good. I mean, everybody seems very nice. And there's a very big emphasis on teamwork, which I like. So, yeah, everything's going very good. Everybody's very nice. So that's that. Today on Book It with Wendy, we're going to have a couple of surprises, as I told you we were going to do. We are going to start a new thing on my channel. Every month I am going to spotlight an author and learn about that author and share it with you guys. To kick that off today, we're starting off with my very favorite author of all time, Mitch Albom. So you guys know how much I love him. I have talked about him extensively on my channel. I have read every one of his books, and I'm a big fan. So I figured we would start off with him. And then I'm going to do an unboxing of my Book of the Month books for this month. So let's get started. Okay, so David Albom was born in May 23rd, 1958 in Passaic, New Jersey. And he lived in Buffalo for a while until his family settled in Oakland, New Jersey, just outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He grew up in a very small middle-class neighborhood that he said nobody ever really left. He was once quoted as saying that his parents were very supportive and always used to say, "Don't expect life to finish here. There's a big world out there. Go out and get it," which I love. I think that's a great quote. He has an older sister and a younger brother, and them and himself took that message to heart. His siblings settled in Europe, and Mitch traveled extensively as well. When he lived in New York, he did develop an interest in journalism. He supported himself by working nights in the music industry. He used to play the piano, and he began writing during the day for the Queens Tribune in Flushing, New York. He also did some babysitting as well while he was working his way through school. He earned an entry into the Columbia University Graduate School of Journalism. So to help pay that tuition, he did some babysitting. In addition to piano playing, he also freelanced in the field for publications such as Sports Illustrated and covered several sports events in Europe. So that's how he really started out. He was hired as a full-time writer for the Fort Lauderdale News and Sun Centennial and eventually promoted to columnist in '85, having won that year's Best Sports Editors Award for Best Sports Story. So during his years in Detroit, he became the most award-winning sports writer of his era. He was named Best Sports Columnist 13 times by the Associated Press, and no other writer has received the award more than once. His first non-anthology book was called Bo, The Life, Laughs, and the Lessons of College Football Coach Bo Schembechler. I hope I said that right. Co-written by his coach as well. The book was published in '89 and became Albom's first New York Times bestseller. So he really did start out just, publishing sports stories. His next book was Fab Free, Basketball Trash Talk, The American Dream. And that was a book into the starters on the University of Michigan's men's basketball team. The book was published in 1993 and became a New York Times bestseller as well. His breakthrough book, and this was his first book, that actually came about, he was watching TV, flipping through the channels, and he ended up catching Nightline with Ted Koppel, and he was interviewing actually his sociology professor, Maury Schwartz. And when he saw him, he was shocked. He was speaking about living and dying with a terminal disease, and Mitch learned that he had ALS, and he was very close to his professor during his college years at the university. He felt very guilty about not keeping in touch with him, so he reconnected with his former professor, visiting him in his Boston home every Tuesday for discussions about life and death. He wanted to find a way to help Schwartz with his mounting medical bills, so he was hoping to get a publisher to do a story about his visits with Maury. And he had a very hard time publishing this book. Numerous publishers kicked it back and didn't want to publish it until he came across Doubleday that accepted the idea. And this happened shortly before Schwartz passed away. So Albom was able to fulfill his wish to help him with his medical bills, which was awesome. Tuesdays with Maury, as you realize, was born from that. And that chronicles the time he spent with his professor. That was published in 1997, and Oprah also spotlighted his book as well on her show, which nudged the book into the New York Times bestseller in October of '97. So that was his first book. The next book was The Five People You Meet in Heaven, which is one of my favorites. I say that about all his stories, but this movie that they made about this book was just awesome, and they did such a beautiful job with it. That was published in 2003, and although it was released 6 years after Tuesdays with Maury, the book was a fast success. And again, it launched Albom into the New York Times bestseller list. And it sold over 10 million copies in 38 territories and 35 languages. It's the most watched TV movie of the year. It was 18.7 million viewers, so, and rightly so. The next book that he wrote was called, excuse me, For One More Day, and that was published in 2006. And that was a hardcover, excuse me, guys, edition. It spent 9 months on the New York Times bestseller list. And on December 9th of 2007, it was aired as a 2-hour TV movie motion picture with Ellen Burstyn and Michael Imperioli, two of my favorite actors. They were both in The Five People You Meet in Heaven, too. For One More Day is about a son who gets to spend a day with his mother who died 8 years earlier. Charlie Bonetto is the character in this book. You know, he's very distraught. He is a retired baseball player who is battling alcoholism and a divorce. He also has an estranged daughter. And he returns to his childhood home to commit suicide, but he botches it up. And he wakes up in his childhood home, and his mom welcomes him as if nothing has happened. So this book really does explore the question, you know, if you had just one more day with someone you lost, you know, how would you spend it? Like, what would you do? And so that was that book. Mitch Albom was quoted as saying that his relationship with his own mother was largely behind the story of that book, and that several incidents in the book For One More Day are actual events from his own childhood, which I didn't know. That was very interesting. Have a Little Faith was the next book. It was Albom's first nonfiction book since Tuesdays with Maury, and much like Tuesdays with Maury, it dealt with Albom's experiences with a rabbi that he was writing a eulogy for. And that was, this rabbi was from his hometown in New Jersey. And the main character, in this book goes through several heartfelt conversations. Mitch goes through a lot of heartfelt conversations in the book with the rabbi, much like Tuesdays with Maury. And this was in order to know and understand him, because one day he was going to eulogize him. So he wanted to find out about him, extensively through these conversations. The next book was called The Timekeeper, and that was about an inventor of the world's first clock, who is punished for trying to measure God's greatest gift. He's banished to a cave for centuries and forced to listen to the voices of all who came after him, seeking more days and years. Eventually, with his soul broken, Father Time is granted his freedom along with a magical hourglass and a mission by teaching two earthly people the true meaning of time. So that was, again, another great Mitch Albom book. The next book was The First Phone Call from Heaven. That was about a town in Michigan that was kind of thrust into the spotlight because the citizens started getting calls from deceased loved ones. So that was his next book. The book after that was The Magic Strings of Frankie Presto, and this is actually his longest book. This book is almost 400 pages, and I remember reading this book and thinking, this is a long book for Mitch Albom, because most of his books, if you're familiar with them, are very short books. You can read them in an hour, which I love about them too. And this was a very long one for him. It chronicles the life and death of fictional musician Frankie Presto. And then the book after that was The Next Person You Meet in Heaven. And that's a sequel to The Five People You Meet in Heaven. And this one tells the story of Eddie's heavenly reunion with Annie, the girl he saved in The Five People You Meet in Heaven. After that was Finding Chica. That was Albom's return to nonfiction for the first time in a decade. It's a memoir and a tribute to Chica. She's a young Haitian orphan who arrived in Albom's Have Faith Haiti orphanage and before she was diagnosed with an aggressive brain tumor. Then The Stranger in the Lifeboat, which is his newest book, was published in November of 2021, last year. And he established the Dream Fund in 1989. It provides a scholarship for disadvantaged children and to study the arts. A Time to Help started in 1998. It funds shelters the homeless, and his recent effort is A Hole in the Roof Foundation. It helps faith groups of different denominations who care for the homeless repair the spaces, the houses that they use. So he's really a great humanitarian, and I found out a lot of things about him that I didn't know about him, which made me like him even more. He is very humble, and he really does take a great interest in these orphanages and these charities that he does establish. He does spend about four days a year at these orphanages, interacting with the children and telling them stories, and he's just wonderful. And I'm so glad I found out more about him and was able to share that with you guys, because I talk about him a great deal on this channel because I just love his books. So that's our first author spotlight, and every month we'll have a different author that we learn together about. So I thought that was fun. Next is one of my very favorite things in this whole world, book-wise, and that is the Book of the Month subscription. My favorite blue box to see in the mail. This company I just can't say enough about. I've been getting Book of the Month for I think 2 or 3 years now, and they never disappoint. The subscription is very reasonable. You get a brand new hardcover book every month by all emerging authors, all the newest releases, and you have the option of putting an add-on with your monthly subscription. It's I think $9.99 to put an add-on, and that gets you could get any book you choose. You can choose from previous months. If you want to skip a month and nothing really is piquing your interest for the current month, you could skip a month, you could skip 2 months, whatever you choose. And on your birthday, you get a free book. So I think that's awesome. This month, I chose for my Book of the Month Susan Kane's book, Bittersweet, How Sorrow and Longing Makes Us Whole. and I thought this book really sounded good. You also get a cute little new bookmark every month. This one says "Use Me or Lose Me." So you get that every month. This book by Susan Kane, it says bitterness is a tendency to states of longing, poignancy, and sorrow, an acute awareness of passing time, and a curiously piercing joy at the beauty of the world. It recognizes that light and dark, birth and death, bitter and sweet are forever paired. If you've ever wondered why you like sad music, if you find comfort or inspiration in a rainy day, if you react intensely to music, art, nature, and beauty, then you probably identify with the bittersweet state of mind. With quiet, Susan Kane urged our society to cultivate space for the undervalued, indispensable introverts among us, thereby revealing an untapped power hidden in plain sight. Now she employs the same mix of research, storytelling, and memoir to explore why we experience sorrow and longing, and how embracing the bitterness at the heart of life is the true path to creativity, connection, and transcendence. At a time of profound discord and personal anxiety, Bittersweet brings us together in deep and unexpected ways. So it sounds like a wonderful book, so I can't wait to read that. And my add-on for this month is Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And this book I've wanted to read for a while. This book is about Daisy, a girl coming of age in LA in the late 60s, sneaking into clubs on the Sunset Strip and sleeping with rock stars and dreaming of singing at the Whiskey A Go-Go. The sex and drugs are thrilling, but it's the rock and roll she loves the most. By the time she's 20, her voice is getting noticed, and she has the kind of heedless beauty that makes people do crazy things. Also getting noticed is the Six, a band led by the brooding Billy Dunn. On the eve of their first tour, his girlfriend Camilla finds out she's pregnant, and with the pressure of impending fatherhood and fame, Billy goes a little wild on the road. The making of that legend is chronicled in this riveting and unforgettable novel, written as an oral history of one of the biggest bands of the 70s. Taylor Jenkins Reid is a talented writer who takes her work to a new level with Daisy Jones and the Six, brilliantly capturing a place and time in an utterly distinctive voice. So I can't wait to read this too. Like I said, I've seen this book around for a while. And I did enjoy her other book, The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. So I'm just getting into Taylor Jenkins Reid's books, and I'd like to read all of them eventually. But that's it, guys. That is a wrap for today's episode. I wanted to thank you guys all so much for hitting that like and subscribe button. I'm really blown away by it. Every time I see my numbers go up, I get so excited. Like I said to you guys, it's like, I struggled so much with trying to decide on doing a channel. I struggled back and forth with it, not sure if I wanted to do it, not sure that I would have something that to offer you guys that you would have an interest in. And I'm so glad that I decided to do it, because it's been such a joy to me to be this creative, and really I look forward to putting out content for you guys every week. So thank you so much for hitting that like and subscribe button. It kind of lets me know that you guys like what I'm putting out, and that makes me feel great, because I love doing this channel. I truly do. Like I said, the BookTube community has been just awesome, very supportive. I love all your comments, so comment below, and that's it. So have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you guys here next week on Book It with Wendy, and as always, I'll see you later.